did you go from majoring in music and commerce to finding your way to Will Smith and Antoine Fuqua for Emancipation?
It's been a trip. It's been a journey. And even before that, I was in like corporate land, and then I had like a sort of fork in the road moment where I had to choose, and I was like, no, I'm gonna just throw caution to the wind and go get a music degree because that's what I want to do and see what happens then. And I had this amazing year when I was doing it. For 1 year, I just felt like I just sang and did yoga all year, and it was like the best year of my life looking back now. Like it was so great. But I had two electives to do to complete my music degree, and one of them I chose acting just by chance, and something clicked, and I was like, I think this is what I'm meant to do.
Now, with your music degree, were you doing instrumental music or were you singing?
I was singing, yeah,
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
which
And
I really do not use right now as well.
nothing that you're using right now, nothing.
Yeah.
Um, how did you feel when you first found, because growing up in Australia, I doubt that you knew little about Whipped Peter. So when you found out about him and his story, how did you feel about that? And how exciting was it for you to be able to be part of telling his story?
Well, strangely, I did a play called Doubt in Australia, and I came across his photo in my preparation for then. That was, 100 years later, but it's still. That's the thing with slavery; it has such long roots in terms of its impact. So I remember seeing the picture and being really struck by it. And it wasn't the trauma I saw in the picture; it was his dignity, because there's such like spirit in the way that he's posing and such strength. So that was when I first saw it. And then when the script came to me that explained his journey more, I was all in. I didn't know the story, and I think it's just remarkable. Like the script moved me to tears. So
Was there any source material on Dodian at all for you
so
to pull from?
there wasn't a ton. We knew she existed, and the terrible fact of those times is that you're literally your name's on a list of paper. That's you were treated like property to be traded, to be mortgaged, to be sold. So that's all we knew about her. So I had a beautiful process of filling in the blanks. One of the things I did was I listened to loads of enslaved narratives because I wanted to hear the stories told like by the people, and they were heartbreaking. I remember listening to at least 120 hours of enslaved narratives, and you'd hear stories of when a child would be sold, the mother would die within a week, or just all sorts of harrowing things. So I tried to make her this beautiful tapestry of all those brave women's stories that I heard.
Wow, that's amazing that you did that because you played her. We only see you for like a little teeny bit, but you make such an impact with that. It's kind of like the impact you made with your role in Doubt, right?
It's that
That
one
role is a
scene.
very, very small role, but if someone is really gifted, they can make a huge tsunami of an impact with it. And that's pretty much what you did here in Emancipation. I'm so looking forward to what you tackle next. Speaking of which, you've worked with some huge heavy hitters at this point, including meeting John Patrick Shanley, who wrote Doubt. Who's on your hit list next?
Oh, that's a good question. It's hard because I've been spoiled relatively early in my career. There's been Christine Baranski to Will Smith. I'm a huge fan of Viola. She's got to be on the list somewhere. Viola, and I'm a big Jessica Chastain fan as well. So I'd love to work with either of those two.
I love both of them so much.
Majors, actually, he
What'd you
seems
say,
like
baby?
Jonathan Majors as well. He seems like a force, and I like the way he's really impacting Hollywood in his own particular way.
I could see that. I could see all of that for you. And you mentioned Christine Baranski. Uh, have you learned any? Because Christine Baranski comes from Broadway, as do I, and she's a beast when it comes to comedy. Have you gotten any comedy tips from her?
I think I get the comedy tips from her of the way she is in her own life. She's just relaxed, and she always has a joke on hand. So it's yeah, she teaches me even when we're off screen.
I bet she does. She's a hoot. I love her. And
Yeah.
last but not least, I know you have or had a podcast called the Burned Photo Podcast. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's about a woman called named Felicia who has a hidden family memory that she's not quite aware of, but it's an ancestral curse that's following her and her child, and she has to join forces with somebody else to beat it. So it's a amazingly rich and textured horror podcast.
And where can people find it?
You can find that on anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple. It's around. It's by an amazing company called Q Code who do great stuff.
You see how I did that? You see how I brought it all the way around at the end to help you
Move,
promote something
baby.
else that you're doing?
And
You see how we do it, the
didn't
Curvy
even
Critic?
realize that doubt probably prepared me for Emancipation until you said it. So I'm like, thanks. I see what you're doing.
Cool. Charmaine Bingwa, thank you so much for giving me a little slice of your time today. You are a delight. You are a fierce force to be reckoned with in the world of cinema. And I'm looking forward to what you do next. Thank you so much.
Very much. And I look forward to kidnapping you and taking you to Australia again.
I will hold you to that.
Perfect. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Bye bye.